Marketing is a means to an end. And the end is the growth of the business in a profitable way.
We have 5 new pieces of creative. And so I said, what if we did this?
No bidding strategy is going to cure a bad business model.
Very true. This is where it's really crazy. All right. So Ralph is here. He is just now known as the Avatar. He's actually transferred his consciousness to the computer. Now Ralph lives forever.
That's right. You won't see my face here because I'm on one bar in my front yard because I know that's where the cell tower is because we lost all cable here in Sagamore Beach.
That's amazing.
Unbelievable.
That's awesome.
But, the show must go on, John Moran.
It's true. It must absolutely go on. That's for sure. It's good stuff.
Yeah, we don't get paid enough to do all this, I think. Yeah.
No, we don't get paid enough to have internet, that works inside the home. We're not fancy.
All I'm really asking for is Xfinity, just keep the cable on. Keep the internet on as opposed to not on. You would figure out for $303 a month that would be the case, John, but apparently it is not. It's too much.
That's asking a lot. I don't know. I don't think that's reasonable. Seems like a lot of work for Xfinity.
It really
does. Stable internet connection, being an internet company.
Yeah. Well, I'll put a comment in in today's questions if you want to bitch openly about your cable company, because Xfinity Comcast is the only choice that we have here in this particular neck of the woods. So I'm kind of stuck. I'm in a monopoly here. But anyway, we are monopolizing the world on cutting edge technologies when it comes to managing ads and creative. So there you go. There's my segue from Monopoly 1 to Monopoly 2 here. And welcome to the Ad Lab, as per usual, every Friday, with or without my face, which might come on at some point in time.
Right.
So, John, I know you've been cooking up a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well,
lab.
I am trying to settle the age-old question of what's better, standard shopping or Performance Max. So I've tested the absolute crap out of them, and I have a very high spend test, and I've come to find out that a feed-only PMAX and a standard shopping are almost one-to-one identical in terms of performance, which is kind of revolutionary. I've isolated the data to be as one-to-one as possible while being able to, in a very short time period, test swinging $40,000 into PMAX and $40,000 into standard shopping. Or sorry, actually take 40 grand from standard shopping, push it into PMAX, and then take the same 40 grand out of PMAX and push it back into standard shopping. And I have a comparison of both. And I'm looking at new and returning non-brand new customers, yada, yada, yada. So what I mean by this is when you're tracking the same data from a top line perspective of, if I was to put 50 grand into PMAX, feed only, non-brand, new customers only, or if I put 50 grand into standard shopping, non-brand, new customers only, which is also basically a feed only, which one is better? And typically Performance Max looks way better because you do have more traffic existing customers that start to convert that's piled on top. But what about for new customer acquisition? There is a time period that may be coming very soon with the chatter on Google that standard shopping could go away. That's kind of the chatter. They were like, oh, eCPC is going to go away, and then it did. I'm like, okay, some of that is going to be real, and Ralph's just completely gone. Don't worry about it. Are you still here, Ralph? Maybe not. Okay, so what we're looking at is if we were to push ad spend into one versus the other, what would come out on top? And because we're looking at situational differences, I have two use cases that I'd like to share with fairly large testing, that when you start to strip out the branded data, when you start to strip out the return user data, when you start to strip out the return customer data, when you start to strip out basically anything that campaign did not provide, and you have clean data versus clean data, what does it look like? And it's actually fairly interesting. I'm going to share screen here. Hopefully this pops up for everyone. It may. Hey, Ralph's back.
I'm here.
You look like you're filmed from a potato.
Oops, I got to turn off that. Whoa, that's some really, really bad. Whoa, there we go. Turned off the iPad. I sent you a picture of me doing the ad lab from my front yard.
I gotta see this. Oh man,
front porch.
This actually looks pretty good. There's Ralph outside. I actually like that background. That looks great.
It's a nice front porch. You know, you get the orange cushions, which was my wife's new latest addition. But anyway, all right. So I heard about 25% of what you're opening. So
okay,
I'm just gonna let you go at this point. Yeah,
I'll recap it for you week over week, measuring both the same thing, which is both PMAX and standard shopping are both non-brand, both new customers only. I mean, basically everything's identical. PMAX is a feed only. Standard shopping is obviously the shopping feed. So yes, PMAX can do prospecting with those feeds. They can do remarketing with those feeds. And I want to know, how much does that actually work? And how much of it actually is more just like direct response versus, oh, it's smart AI bidding that has advancements and, pardon my French, but all the bullshit that Google feeds us that I've never actually seen in actual testing. And this is another one of those tests. But the first time that we're measuring edge tagged people and also optimizing off of both non-brand new customers only. And I have we were on one and then we did the other one, and now I've swapped it back over to the other one. So I have actually a perfect swing of $40,000 going one way versus the other. And I have a perfect kind of like, it's a 4% different change week over week. So it's actually a really, 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 really perfect test for this, because we're going to break it down data style, which is how we usually do it here, and can analyze the similarities and differences. So I'm going to go ahead and share screen, and we'll kind of go through this.
And I can now do this.
Yeah. So for those listening at home with I should say with the Ralph Wi-Fi connection, so it's probably on the radio. For the audio listeners out there, what we're looking at here is an ads account that has a non-brand standard shopping and a non-brand Performance Max campaign. And these two are running at the same time. But what you'll see is that through very short time periods, April 10th through the 14th versus August 2nd through the 7th. So we're looking at week over week, same days here. What is the change if we pull 36K out of feed only and put 42K into the standard shopping? So it's not an exact perfect storm, because the PMAX was underspending a bit, but out of $75,000 per week, we're only at a 4% spend difference from the top line. That's what my goal is to try to be within a couple grand week over week, but we're still spending like 75K a week. This is a very large spend account, and we have a lot of good data that we can identify very quickly because of it. So we're crowdsourcing this data. So this last few days, we took $40,000 out of feed only PMAX, and we pushed it into non-brand shopping. Now, to just for clarification, these are as close as I can get. These campaign types are both essentially shopping campaigns. The only difference is Performance Max can re-engage and retarget existing customers, and they can remarket omni-channel traffic, but it will not be reflective in the data unless it actually came first click from that campaign. I make very general statements, and a few of the general statements I make are: number one, PMAX goes warm, gets more existing customers. That was my statement. Number two, that is also the reason why you typically see higher ROAS. Number three, the prospecting elements of Performance Max are junk, in my opinion. They do not take a display ad, go find Ralph for the first time, warm him up, and get him to search or get him to click and get him to buy. That's a lot of typically is seen as a positive attribute of Performance Max. And so I'm testing that as well. So all of the stuff that we get with Performance Max, AI overviews, the AI matching, the smart targeting, the prospecting capabilities, even when you're running a feed only, you're still running PLA ads on shopping, GSP, YouTube, display, discover. You're still running those. So there's 5 more channels, like all of the benefits that we get from Performance Max when actually measuring an incremental lift in new customer acquisition. Is it better? And so this was kind of my test to see head-to-head standard shopping and feed only, what's working and what's not. And the results are kind of not even surprising. So as an example, when we look at the differences here, this is standard shopping increasing the ad spend. Oh, did it work? Oh, it was sharing there for a moment. It shared and then it popped off.
It's kind of glitchy. I don't know why it's doing that, but anyway, we're adding to stage.
Might be laggy.
My download speeds aren't exactly stellar. I'm going to turn off my my video here for a second, see if that helps. All right, there you go. Everyone knows I'm here.
Perfect. Yep. I actually, I might do the same here in a minute just to make sure that it's good. Okay. Anyway, so this is pulling out or putting 42,000 into non-brand standard shopping and pulling 40K out. But here's the top line. This is what I thought was very interesting, is because top line matters the most. If we're spending in campaign A and not campaign B, and then we're spending in campaign B and not campaign A, you should see top line differences. If the spend is the same, something that is better is going to do positively better in the account. So the spend is the same. We only have 4% difference week over week. The conversions, when we're looking at new customers only, is a difference of 1.3%. So they are the same spend on different channels delivered a positive or negative contribution to the top line of 1.3%, which falls well below the 10% natural ebb and flow of any account. So basically anything under 10% is kind of like no change, really. We took 95% of our ad spend Performance Max and we shoved 185% into non-brand standard shopping, and our results are 1% difference. 4% difference. I was looking at the all conversions, but we're looking at basically the same thing from an attribution standpoint. So we have actually 4.4% less. And so we're literally splitting hairs. The conversions by conversion time, measuring cash, is the difference between 724 and 692, or 4.42%. Again, 32 conversion differences out of 700 is not. It's not a change. It is simply just
not statistically significant, right?
Exactly. It's not measurably better.
Right. It's basically the same.
Exactly. It's basically the same. Now we look at conversion value. Again, 6% difference. I have some days that show non-brand standard shopping better, some days that are showing feed only better. But then again, when you measure them week over week, they're about the same. CPC did go up slightly. Yes. It did go up 14%. So that is an element that we have to look at, is the account will go up 14%. Why? Because the feed only is going to have inexpensive display clicks. Now it's 232 versus 317. That's almost $1 difference. If you're looking at, like, if we're rounding it, 320 versus 230. So it's about 90 cents difference. That's a big change. That's 50% more expensive in CPC. But it is not delivering any measurable results. Why? PMAX has display remarketing with the feed, and that's the PLAs. Those are 50 and 75 cent clicks. Have they made a difference in terms of conversion? No. So is the CPC reduction in shopping worth it from a results perspective? Does not appear so, at least not yet. What?
No. I'm just.
Oh yeah.
I'm close to asking you the bottom line on all this, because it's basically from my standpoint, it seems like you're reaffirming what you've always talked about, but you're just retesting it again.
Oh, there's a little hidden gem.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. So there's a little bit. Go for it. Yep. So this was the first one we did, is like taking it out of standard shopping and push into PMAX. And then, like, what happened? Be like, hey, it looks to be about the same, but PMAX stopped scaling. So we pushed it back into standard shopping, and standard shopping has actually spent a lot more than PMAX did. But so far, when it met the same spend and threshold levels, it's getting the same result. But I'll go through two differences that we saw that people usually confuse with better performance. And that's what we're going to be getting down to. So is it actually better? No, not that I can see. And I'm testing this in a few different accounts. So, John, should I use a PMAX or standard shopping? It's something that we hear a lot. We get a lot of Q&A over that.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm demystifying everything here. So it's like, it's actually about the same if you're measuring everything correctly. So long story short, yes, clicks change. Conversion value by cost is the same. The CPA is 9% difference. I mean, the conversion rate is again 2.0 to 1.9. Again, it's 0.08% difference. There is no difference really even in conversion rate.
Yeah.
Right. So let's look at the actual detail of what we're seeing inside of here as well during this test. So this is where I think is actually kind of interesting.
And we're selling supplements here just for everyone. Yeah. Anyway.
Exactly. We're doing supplements.
Yep.
So when we're looking at the conversions, we had in feed only PMAX 212 new customers, 90 returning.
Mm-hmm.
And inside of standard shopping, we have 120 in new customers, 45 returning. So
why is it always why is it always a percentage in Google?
What's that?
It's 121.36. I've never understood that.
I know the percentages are like fractional percentages. I know. It's so funny. I guess they're like trying to be extremely specific.
Right. It's 0.36 of a person actually bought there, apparently. But anyway.
Exactly right. And so
they're definitely not a Wally fat person, that's for sure.
Not a Wally fat person. Yep.
Very skinny.
Yeah, exactly. And we have a different a couple different points too that we'll kind of go through on this.
Yeah.
So we have basically 1/3 of the total new customers are returning. About 40 to 120 if we're looking at 1/3 of the ratio. When we're looking at feed only, it is about 90 to 212. So more closer to like 45%. So there's definitely more returning customers in feed only than there is standard shopping. So that is something that you have to take into consideration. It is going to do more new customers on non-brand, but those display is going to returning customers. So that display returning customers is going out, outbounding, finding them. I know this seems like for you and I repetitive, but I've been saying the same stuff for 2 years. We still get the kind of the same questions and the same, even, internally from the teams. Like we get a lot of the same questions. What's better, PMAX, standard shopping, that kind of stuff. Right. So it does seem that we are looking to see more returning customers for ratio instead of feed only. So PMAX, yes, is going to have better ROAS. Is it real? No. Are you selling something to the client that maybe you didn't do? Yes. Is it something you can scale? No. That's what we actually also saw here. The feed only, because it is going to utilize a percentage of its daily ad spend for returning customers, it hits a point where the cost that when we had this thing on $15K per day, we tapped out at about 87, 80 and 98. Now we're actually on $15K per day since the first. We tried to push this thing as high as we could. Dropping the ROAS just started to overspend, and even the clicks started to reduce. So that's when we shut it off and went back to standard shopping, and that's when you saw the differences between this time period here of scaling as hard as we can versus not. Here is the kicker, though, is using the same ROAS of 40%. My standard shopping campaign with this full daily ad spend of 15K right now, I'm seeing a 26% increase in cost just by swapping the 15K from this one and putting in 15K in here. This one will spend 15K immediately. So week over week, I had to pull 37 out and I was able to dump 60,000 in. Performance Max could not do this.
Yeah.
So Performance Max could not scale up.
Right.
Why? Why doesn't PMAX scale? 40% of every dollar you put into it does not go to new customers. And it actually stops the spend. Why? We're not counting returning customers. So that money is going out to those people. They are coming in, they are buying. It cannot be seen. So we're not actually getting ROAS from those people. We're not getting conversion value from those people. It actually stopped Performance Max. It reached a point of diminishing returns that says, I can't go any higher with my current structure and my current setup. What's your current setup? My algorithm. What are you doing? Not spending all my money on new. What are you doing? Reserving some for returning. Why? ROAS looks really good. I get to trick really stupid marketers. Okay, stop doing that. Oh, I can't. That's what it's built in to do. When you stop measuring the returning.
So it's embedded. It's embedded into the campaign type.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's embedded into the algorithm. It has I can't scale because I can't count wrong. Standard shopping blew past it by 40 grand in 2 days.
Yeah.
That's the big difference. So if you're running feeder, which most people or a lot of people are nowadays, they're running feeder and you're running PMAX feeder. If you hit a scale ceiling, that's going to get stuck there. the inability for Performance Max to retain the cold approach from it to its prospecting is the downfall to its scaling, to the point where we're missing $25,000 in 3 days and it would not scale up. It couldn't get past that with the same 40% TROAS goal on both. So this is what we do in the ad lab. We try to break things. And that was actually something that we looked at here. Is it's still on 40%. Like they're both still on a TROAS target of 40. So I'm sorry, I'm screen share. I'm not sure if you see it.
Sorry. I was in full screen mode.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. All right. There we go.
So they're still both on 40% TROAS here, but that one did stop that scale. Like it was 43 and I was like, okay, let's push it down and then swap it back over. And that one scaled up 233%. So this one is still scaling extremely fast. Now the conversion rate after dumping in, $60,000 in 7 days on top of 25 is pretty rough, but the conversion rate only went down 0.3%. Cool.
Right.
Like great. Like that's not bad. And our CPA went up to 46 and it's still $2 below our ceiling target, which used to be on this one over here. So it's very, very interesting how we can scale this thing up and only go up 14% in CPA. By standard shopping, though, we're able to put another 21 grand in that we couldn't with Performance Max. So what's better, standard shopping and Performance Max for scaling new customer acquisition? Still standard shopping. Can Performance Max get there? No, it can get very close, but it has a built-in fail point that it spends too much money on returning customers on the display channel. That actually, did it do any prospecting? No. Did it find new customers? Nope. What did it do? It remarketed existing customers. We've isolated it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's really cool to see.
Well, I think it's pretty cool because you're just reaffirming every now and then. I think we were talking about this earlier today on our one-on-one. It's like, you want to test the boundaries, obviously, and try new things, but also you want to make sure that you're not missing anything. So something that didn't really work in the past, you couldn't get new customers from Performance Max. You're retesting that, saying, okay, well, it really is non-branded standard shopping, that's the place to scale. And I think just, retesting or re-challenging your previous beliefs is always a smart thing. Yeah. Which is really what you're kind of doing here. And so I still, from my standpoint, I always sort of think where does PMAX kind of fit in? But I'll set that aside for right now. What's to prevent you from dumping even more money into non-branded standard shopping for these guys? Nothing.
We're scaling. We're gonna keep going. This thing is just gonna be hitting, basically all-time high after all-time high. I mean, it spent $90,000 in the last 7 days. I mean, this is a fairly large scale for this account. They spend a lot of money on Meta, but it doesn't produce the scalable results that just standard shopping can. Now, standard shopping never attributed much. We always did it by NCAC and MER. So I was saying, trust me, just do it. That's what everyone's been just kind of blindly following John. Yeah. And then we'll have some people internally or some people externally that will say hey, but PMAX looks this way. And that's what I'm trying to get clear on. The data is the data in and data out, the clean data in, clean data out. That's something that's important. Yeah. I've changed my approach in how I teach and how I consult and how I even perform, which is if there's questions that are around, hey, which one is better or whatever it may be, it's I always first ask, what are we measuring? That's always how it is. And if we're measuring just standard purchase events, we would have been tricked. And we would have been tricked into an account that had a higher ROAS, lower CPA, better conversion rate, lower CPC, wouldn't scale. We don't know why. You're getting a lot of returning customers, which exactly. I mean, these guys want returning customers for sure. But I mean, they're subscribers. They're subscribers. These are just basically people that are, they're probably going to buy anyway without paid media. That's the point here is exactly. That, they're either subscribers. They saw an ad. I've bought plenty of things. Right now, a new client of ours, I see their retargeting ads everywhere now. But I've already bought their product to make sure that we know that we can actually market it. The point is that those people were just going to come back anyway. Right. So why target them?
And you're just proving yet again, it's like if you really want to go after new customers, you have to obviously have the CAPI import side, which you didn't really touch on here, but it's like that NC versus RC. That's a vital statistic.
Vital.
And if you're just tracking purchases and purchases only, you have no idea what that number is.
But there's always two things that we hear. We can't scale. That's the number one reason why we get hired, or why anybody hires an agency. We can't scale. Like that's it. What does most campaign types people use nowadays?
Yeah.
Performance Max.
Performance Max. Yep.
Exactly. So this is like the biggest question everyone has is I can't scale. I'm running this is Performance Max. It's like, aha. So what are you measuring? Everything. From where? Everywhere. From who? From everyone.
From everyone.
Ah, exactly. And
regardless of who they are.
Right. And I know, right? So I know we usually kind of go through Q&A, so I know we had a little bit of a late start, so I wanted to kind of showcase this. I do have another test that I am running that I will be able to kind of share next week. That's actually it's a cool test about content iteration. And so in that one, and I also want to go through my ad flow funnel document. Actually, that'll be next week because it's going to take a long time. And it, technical difficulties aside, I don't know how much we'll probably have to dedicate an hour to it. But next week, what I want to do is go through this document here.
Okay.
This is a document that I believe everybody should follow. Everyone should create.
I love this document.
Exactly. Everybody needs a document like this. And this has replaced everything. This is the sole reporting, only one document, basically sole reporting of our company that we spend about $100K a week in ads on. And I'll give you a small little teaser for those at home. So this is what the document helps with in everybody's viewership. We took, let's see, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks ago, we were spending $37,000 a week. We scaled it up in a matter of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks later from 37 to 96. So we almost, we went between double and tripling the ad spend. My cost per acquisition in my platform went from 18 to up to 21, up to 30, up to 35, up to 36, up to 39. Oh my God. We went from $18 CPA to $39 CPA. It more than doubled in CPA. This is where 99.9 out of 100 advertisers will stop. They'll panic. They'll throw in the towel. They'll back off. They'll say, we got to re-strategize. Look at this. We add an ad spend. The CPA just keeps climbing.
I'm looking at the MER really right below it too. I'm like, oh, wait a second. We're at
MER's
1.85. We were at 4 before. Right.
Yeah.
Not going in the right direction. Uh-oh. Alarm bells. 4
is going to 3, is going to 2, going to 2, go to 1. Now, what you don't see here is we have a hidden floor that's 1.5. Once MER hits 1.5, we back off. If it doesn't hit 1.5, we don't. And the reason why we were able to kind of keep scaling with that MER is because if we actually measure our Shopify new customers, this is the date range here that we had the 25th to we'll look at this date range here. I'll highlight them. Our cost of acquired first-time customer went from 250 down to 248, back up to 277, then down to 237, then down to 197, then 219. So we went from 250 down to 219. We saved $31 cost of acquired first-time customer and went from $37K to $100K in ad spend. So we tripled our ad spend and bought new customers for cheaper. But CPA said, what are you doing? So in this one document, I can confidently spend almost $500,000 a month and be completely fine. Like we can sleep at night very well from this. Third-party attribution, gone. Amazon, that's in here too. We have that. We can track that. That's something that we look at very, very frequently. I don't know.
Is Amazon being tracked on MER?
Yes.
Okay. So that MER number is inclusive of Amazon, or there's a grand total at the bottom somewhere?
It's inclusive. Yeah.
Okay.
All that MER. Yep. Because again, people are going to buy from whatever channel. Yeah. And it also helps us to say, wait a minute, if we're scaling up, can't we just like cut our ad spend in half and get the same amount of money? Oh yeah, we did. Went from $1,600 to $800 and we still made 75 grand. Cool. Still not doing anything. So that's what's nice is everything is, we'll go through this and figure out exactly like how all of these things are pieced together and why we make the changes that we make and why we're 100% happy spending $250 to get a $60 sale and how we're scaling it. And so it's been actually really cool. It's been really fun.
I'd love to do the math backwards on that as a show here.
Let's do it.
You know what I mean? Like we don't have time to do it today, obviously, with questions. But the point is like that's like those are MPIs. Those are metrics that matter in growth at scales, right? It's kind of our thing. Go to tier11.com. You see that. But the point is how do you get to those numbers? How do you know these numbers? Like we're assuming everyone who's watching these ad lab, I was going to say the ad lab here, in the performance kitchen understands how to measure all those. John, I'm on 10 calls a week with businesses that I would say maybe half know their numbers well enough.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the supplement example that we use constantly on the show, those guys know their numbers, like inside and out, backwards and forwards on every individual product. And it's like, you need to be able to do that. It's almost like we should do a show specifically on that. We've got tons of YouTube videos. If you go to the Tier 11 YouTube channel, we've got a ton of videos on this, but you've done a ton of videos on it, like what they all are, but how do you calculate it? That's the key.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do next week is we're going to crack open what we call the Afflow funnels. And we are going to go through kind of line by line, how and why we look at things. And it's so nice and refreshing because you don't have attribution models. Yep. You don't have, attribution is cool, but if you have first click CAPI import that has to go through only one channel and only attribute to the one area, that's used for identification of scaling. That is not used for business health. That's why CPA is doubling. And I'm like, woohoo, keep going.
Yeah.
Even just for fun, one little last teaser. These two numbers here.
Yep.
You'll notice that we have something called MER and MER less subs. And
interesting.
So exactly what we look at is the delta between our MER. Oh, I can't use red. There we go. Well, I guess I'll change this color. Blue. The difference between our MER. Oh my God, it went back right back.
That's all right.
What the?
It's red. Well, red.
So I have to click OK.
Yeah, I think that's
it. Oh my God, it literally made me click OK. Cool. Yeah. So the difference between the 3.52 and the 2.13 is that is returning customers who are subscribers. Yeah. So what's nice is now that our subscribers have pushed us to a top line MER of about a 1.79, 1.8 on the low side, it means that my MER less subs, I can actually get more aggressive down to the below 1.5 MER we needed. So I can actually scale faster because the subscribers every day wake up and hand me $15,000 before I start marketing. So now I got built-in padding. It's like, hey, how much have you spent? I spent $0 today. Well, you're already starting with a 15K revenue head start. Now what you can spend? At least 15K.
So your number is your MER number, but your real number is the MER less subs number. Like that's what you really care about. Yep. If you want to be as stringent as possible with this way of looking at data. Yep. Yeah. Which makes it like, I hope everybody understands that because, agencies in general want to get credit for everything, but in actuality, if you got them a subscriber, great, but you shouldn't count it in your MER totals for what you did this past week.
Well, what's funny is like there's only two of us that are working on things. Like I'm pressing, or he's pressing the buttons, I'm strategizing. So we're both like kind of doing things week over week. So what's cool is like we're both responsible for it. But what happened and how can we leverage it? Is if we have more subscribers, two things that people maybe not have thought about when they are looking at stuff like this as an example. Then we'll get to questions. Do we have a good amount of questions? Some there.
Mid.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a late start today. But here, this is, and I'm just going to pause cameras. This thing is a beast. Let's see. Maybe I have to go out from the front yard and get better internet.
Front porch. The front yard was way too hot, and I didn't have any shoes on. And there's a wasp nest out there. The guy just killed yesterday, so I was a little bit.
Oh man.
The things that I do to make sure the show goes on. It's like,
the show must go on.
The show must go on.
Yep. So what's interesting is this is like looking back, like this is July and then August. So this is that week of that scale. So the reason, remember when we were tracking it, we're like CPA is doubling. Oh no. But we're still counting the new customers. That is from this point here, from where we ramp down spend.
Blue arrow, by the way.
Yeah, no, right now it's on blue. I'm gonna make like a new color, like it's just a burnt orange. As long as I click OK, they let me do anything I want.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, so CPA was doubling from 20 to 40, which is usually when people are like, "Oh no, we try to increase spend and the CPA doubled. It must not be working." That's typically when you would stay on that path,
right? And then that is the death of a business.
Exactly. Look at my ROAS isn't good. But because we have new customer acquisition we know we can afford, that's what we actually now have reached just basically this week, an all-time high in the account. So this is so important that we looked at things that weren't doing well. We actually had to do new creative diversification because we were actually experiencing some waffling. This all happened, by the way, with a cost cap.
Really?
We scaled with a cost cap, something like 150 Gs. So yes, and so that's what's like. There's just so much things here that people are gonna just get blown away by.
Really?
Yeah, with the cost cap.
And I have to assume this one, like, I don't know this one as well, but this one was, you're doing Advantage Plus sales automated.
Full first click cap be important to customer only.
Yeah. Got it.
So so then when we're looking at this here, we this thing scaled up 190 Gs, 12% less cost per acquire first time customer, which is we saw in AdFlow funnels. When we were scaling up, we saw our customer cost scale down. It wasn't insane, but it was going from 250 and went down to about 244. So yeah, it's about between 219 and 244. So yeah, that's scaling down. Yeah. So that's lining up with what we're seeing in our own top line. Yeah. And
allowable NCAC for 250. Was that?
Yeah, like 300 is our top line. 250 is where we get, we're happier. And then anything under 200 is just like unlimited spend.
That's your happy zone. That's your scale, kill, chill zone.
Exactly.
You're in your sort of scale.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was what's nice is we were able to hold tight because obviously we saw what was happening in platform. We saw what was happening in AdFlow funnels. But if we listened to in-app ROAS and CPA, we would have went right back down and we probably would have lost. I don't know how long it took us to get from there to there, from March to May, April, May. We would have lost 4 months of work if we looked at it a different way. Right. And that's why it's just so important. It's the difference between back 6 months or all-time highs.
Right.
And it's just proper measurement.
You also added in.
Bye, Ralph. It was good knowing you.
Oh, sorry. There I go.
Oh, there you go. You're back.
I pressed the wrong button. I can't be the engineer and the producer and the at the same time.
The easy job here.
Yeah, exactly. So, but in that account, you also introduced one of the other content diversification ad types in and around that time or after that, right?
No, we did founder story, us versus them, and product feature.
Okay. So around that time when it started to scale, did you add that in?
We added all that in and just hit the gas.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah. And what's cool is that is actually producing some of our best performance. So we can, and that's again, like you said, the product diversification. So this one right here, I wish my internet would work. There we go. This is
it's working better than mine.
Product highlight. I know, right? So product highlight went from 0 to spending $7K. How did it do? It's getting a 220. What's the average in the ad set? 245. Yippee skippy. Fabulous. And then we look at the Sid delivers more. What is it doing in Sid delivers more? Well, it was spending 1,100, then scaled 5x to 7,200. What happened with the CPA? Oh, it went from 118 to 127. Is it still over $110 cheaper than our average? Good. How many more customers did we get from there? 470% more. Good job. So great. Each one of these new pieces of credit diversification alongside of our UGC is working extremely well. So this one here, the don't wait for illness. What did that do? Went from 0 to 1,000. Okay. So lower spend. How did it do? $91. Excellent. How old is that one? How old is that one? This one is starting to get spend ramped on it because it saw new customers coming in and CPA dropped. Yeah. It's starting to be tested. Good job. So we can kind of see everything else is more like UGC related is all scaling up with cost caps.
Andromeda with cost caps too, which is really interesting. That I didn't know. Cost caps. Yeah.
So because there's no such thing as creative fatigue and audience burnout, because we're not trying to regurgitate existing customers who aren't going to buy anymore, which is heading down when you can't.
And your cost cap is like a governor on your spend when that happens, of course.
Exactly. Right. And if you have a finite group that can only get smaller, what happens to your account?
A finite group that only gets smaller, it eventually dies uncertain death.
So that's your existing customers, returning customers that have CPM data on them. They're not buying. Bonk.
Right. Eventually you just die. I mean, you can't grow anymore because you're not getting any new customers.
Exactly. So where can we look at the cost cap Uh,
The interesting part of this is you're looking for that is like when we did this as a case study way back when, like 3 months ago, when we first started this whole thing, you only had kind of crappy images of UGC.
yeah. We had,
Like
remember Paul is just a dog on the couch.
Little doggies, doggy on
Yeah.
couch.
Doggy
Literally,
on the
this
couch.
this is like UGC as UGC can get, lo-fi as they call it over at Meta.
Yeah.
But you started and then you added in more content. And I don't know, is that people are getting maybe hung up on like the 10 content types. It's like just sort of think about what you need in order to tell your story. And a lot of that is obviously like that slide that we've shown many times is extraordinarily educational. However, it's like more different types of ads as opposed to the same stuff. It's going to attract different types of people and hit on different pain points and desires that your original ads didn't. It's just kind of common sense in a lot of ways.
It is, and we tag it for educational purposes and to show the increase. So what you'll see is we're in August, month of 8 out of 12, and this was end of 7, middle of 7, beginning of 7, and then middle of 6.
Yep.
And what we're seeing is that we can spend 27 grand, 1,700, 1,000, and 7K. So this scaled 184% in 30 days.
Wow.
And that 184, we added 27 grand to just the 4 ads out of like the 28 we have running. And that had a cost per acquisition that just stuck at 160 to 169 during that entire scale. And we went and increased new customer acquisition by 157 with just these 4 ads alone. Exactly.
What it probably did is Meta went back to the people who have already seen some of the other ads and then said, oh, let's show them a new piece of content. And they're like, oh, I remember these guys. I saw those ads before. Now I see this ad. All right, that's going to trigger me to make the purchase decision.
Exactly. Yeah. So this content diversification allowed us to scale. It kept, we're actually $100 cheaper than that ad set account. So the first 4 pieces of creative diversification we have in there scales 6 times faster than anything else and at $100 cheaper CPA.
That's insane.
I love it.
Love it. All right, let's get to questions.
Cool.
We have 12 minutes.
Oh God. I was like, oh, we'll leave a half hour, and then I just ranting.
Like, how did that happen? I don't know if it become 3:18 all of a sudden. All right, Thomas Rast. Hi there from Austria. Our Austria friend Thomas Rast is here. Thanks for talking about KPI imports on the last show. All I understood is without it, Andromeda doesn't really work, and it seems to be different from the conversions API.
So it's sort of. So conversion API, yes, it is still CAPI import. That's what CAPI stands for, is conversions API. Now I'm using the abbreviation because it's, conversions API is harder to say than CAPI. But the main point is that the conversion API is simply an open toolbox. And it's like, hey, what do you want to send in? How do you want to count it? Where do you want it to come from? CAPI is simply just the median of travel from the conversions into Meta. Where they're coming from, that's more important. So having it be edged tag, which means we're tagging the people at the edge of the internet, basically when they're coming into the domain before they even get to the host, which is where the website is shown, is tagged way over there. So it's tagged on the way, which means it's very accurate. There's no like, oh, it's a slow site speed. Well, the code may have fallen off, and where did it go? Like it's tagged before.
It's not blocked by any like privacy blockers. It's not the slow tag
doesn't have hit with consent mode. Exactly.
Right.
So all of this stuff is basically a better way of tracking. Now, when you're uploading that, the first click independent source, which means if you had to click on Meta, click on Google, you only upload Meta. Or you click on Google first, then Meta, you only upload it to Google. So uploading it to the original source allows for each account to remain independent of each other and scalable, rather than both of them just kind of fighting over the same one returning customer again and again and again. So the difference is if it's counting it's actually contributing, then it can scale.
Got it. So he's basically asking Thomas, our friend from Austria, it seems like it's different than CAPI to a certain degree, but what tools are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Like, how does he set it up, I guess, is really sort of more of the question here in 5th grade English.
Yep. So through Tier 11 Data Suite, there is
there is
the CAPI import. So 5th grade English, I would say for us, your friend is, call us. We can set it up for you. It is a service we do charge for. You can get it from other services. It's like a hamburger. You know, you can get it from McDonald's and Wendy's and Burger King, kind of that way. So it is a service that we can't just set up ourselves because it does take infrastructure. And so there's a data warehouse that is actually a physical data warehouse that the information goes into and gets saved. So there is actually some infrastructure. It's not just rebranded like conversions. So that's something that you can get it from many variations, but obviously we would love if you got it from us.
Yes, absolutely.
But what we're trying to do is not just like be an infomercial. It's like, do you hate bad performance? Get good performance again. Like, we're trying to go in depth and show you why it actually matters.
Right. But also this is sort of I wouldn't even say it's a backdoor way, but it's a more effective way of being able to separate out, in essence, really specific product sales, new versus returning customers. At the end of the day, we're talking about new customers that we really want here, and we want to be able to measure that. And KPI Imports does do that. Tier 11 Data Suite does that. There are other vendors that are out there that might be able to help you out with it, but you can watch their show.
Right.
Point is like, does it work without KPI Imports is what I think Thomas is also asking. Like all the things that we've talked about with the Andromeda update.
Well, if it does it scale new customers only? No. KPI means that realistically you're going to be stuck with one campaign, one ad set, and that's it. The creative does the targeting. Your campaign no longer does the targeting. Meta paid out of its own pocket $40,000 to prove us right. They ran 4 campaigns. They're like, we're just going to have them all set up and we're just going to clone them, and they all suck.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that earlier today.
So it's funny is
to test it, and our other campaign that we're talking about here actually beat it.
I love it so much. And they're not even counting first click KPI imports. They're just like, hey, we're just going to run it standard purchase event. They're all $100 more than our new customers. So
sometimes I just think Meta doesn't really know exactly what it has. It's almost like we've figured it out before they have.
Like, if you give me, save 10 grand, give me 30, I'll tell you it doesn't work.
Save
your time.
Oh my God. Anyway, we're happy for the 40,000 that they said to the client. They were thrilled. E Supernova has a question. Hi, John. Can running a multi-niche e-commerce brand affect the performance of a Google Ads account? If so, what's the best way to address the issue?
If you're leveraging auto targeting, yes. So Performance Max is going to learn on a particular type of client. Most often, you're not going to have the people that like want to buy an elephant and a Ferrari. Like, it doesn't really work that way. But if you're using standard campaigns, so like search, standard shopping, those type of things, like the YouTube, not demand gen, that's just PMAX without search. But if you're using the proper elements inside of Google, so I would use YouTube with sequencing, I would use the inbound standard shopping, I would use inbound standard search, brand campaigns and branded shopping, branded search. So I keep everything hyper segmented. But if you throw on a PMAX, you forget all that. It's just going to go wherever it wants to sell anybody anything from anywhere. So my opinion is, yes, you can, but just make sure that they're segmented so that you can pull the levers of each niche. You don't want to put everybody together and be like, I hope you figure it out. It won't figure it out. So I would say that separating them out in a hyper specific way, that's key.
Got it. Makes sense. Ollie the ad man.
That's awesome.
A question from Ollie the ad man. We know it. A couple of Ollies. Hi, John. I run a roofing marketing agency serving clients across the UK. Have you got any best practice advice for local roofing campaigns in a company budget of $100 a day? Oh my God. I talked to a guy yesterday. Like, what's your budget? $100 a day. It was like a favor for a friend. But anyway, what would be your recommendation?
Well, if roof is anything like US, that's not going to be enough, in my opinion. The reason why in the United States, the roofing marketing services are so extremely expensive is because the homeowner's insurance pays for it. So typically it's like a person that's looking to get a homeowner's insurance to pay for a $50,000 roof. They'll pay 10 grand for that. So for those roofing companies, it doesn't matter. No one's paying for it but the insurance company. So CPA is, I don't know, doesn't matter. Whoever can get it for me. So if it's for that, we're running meta ads, I would do inbound search and more expensive. I've had 3 roofing companies I've worked with over the past 10 years. And the only thing that worked well for us is a stupid aggressive bidding search. That one worked very well. But if you're going to optimize for like a CPC or lower cost or lower this or lower that, no, you want to optimize for how much can I spend? How high can I get on the search engine? How much exact match can I get? That is the only thing that worked well. We're doing arbitrage. We're buying and selling leads, which you don't have the 50K AOV in there. We were getting like $500 per lead. So we were getting them for like 200, 220. So yes, you can, but expect like $30, $40 clicks if it's the same industry as the United States. And the UK may be different. And if so, where the homeowner pays for it, or it comes out of it comes out of the pocket of like the person fixing the roof or whatever it is, that they have a lot of costs in it. But in the United States, it's like, hey, you need a new roof, $60,000, like bill insurance. Then that company gets 60 grand. How much would they pay to get $60,000 basically cash? 10, 15 grand, 20 grand. That was what we learned.
Would you run lead ads?
You can, but if at $100 a day, it doesn't tell me that there's a massive infrastructure of sales teams to follow up on all these people. So I would not. Unless they do, unless they have. I mean, if you're generating lead ads, you're doing a lot of smile and dial and burning through them as quickly as you can. And you have to be fast. So you could, but I would recommend having a human infrastructure that can go through all those. If you're going to leave it up to the owner when he's free to get to them or when she's free to get to them, it's definitely not going to work.
Yeah. Speed to lead, baby. Like that's the key. So that's what's hard working with those smaller companies with very limited budgets. It's like,
smaller lead gen is difficult.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
So, all right, Dheeraj, hopefully that answers Ollie, the ad man's question. Dheeraj Shetty says, do you use Broadmatch keywords for lead gen and any tips for workflow to handle leads?
I do if it's very broad. Typically I won't unless it's something that is, if you're like dentist near me, all day long, dentist, great. But if it's like, someone to come out to repair the imaging equipment at a medical facility, no. So my suggestion is if you're saying, hey, and basically anything related to this industry, I want dentist office near me, whatever it may be, like anything. If someone's going to Google to type in dentist, they don't want to do it. Anything dental related is typically, going to be good if as long as the keywords are close enough. But the more specific you get, the less you want to use Broadmatch is the best key. Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. And a follow up, running Google ads for e-commerce and maintaining a ROAS of 2.5 client wants to increase the ROAS. ROAS, huh? My ideas are to spend more and maintain the 2.5. Can I increase the ROAS and spend both?
So, you're saying I can increase the ROAS and spend. Okay, so running Google ads for e-commerce, maintaining a ROAS of 2.5. Client wants to increase the ROAS. My idea is to spend more and maintain. Okay, so no. Google, actually, physics. It's fun. I just like to use the word physics. It will not allow you to do that typically. The reason why is if you have any sort of sales cycle, which 99% of companies do, you'll have a time period where you have out of 30 people, you got 10 new, 10 thinking about it, 10 buyers. If you crank up the ad spend, you can't crank up the 10 buyers to 15 buyers unless everyone that comes in is an immediate buyer. Doesn't happen usually. What ends up happening is in your funnel, you pour a bunch of water in the left side, which is cold traffic, and then it has to flow to the right. You can't pour 3 water bottles at once. That means break even ROAS. So because of the factor that you have to increase cold traffic that has to be warmed up, you spend on day 1, they buy on day 7. So you got that time lag. So as my suggestion is, as you increase spend, ROAS dips because you pay for people who aren't paying you money that same minute. So ROAS has to dip physically. Then you bring in the people that they buy. So identify your time lag and say, yes, but we're going to go from 2.5. We're going to spend $500. We're going to go up to 1,000. 2.5 is going to go down to 1.6. And then it's going to creep back up to 2.5, if it works well. And that is what you want to measure. Once you reach that, then you do it again. Dips down, climbs back up. And then it stabilizes. Do it again. So that's the methodology.
Got it. Makes sense. One last question.
Hey,
here we go. Ken Lyons. Hi, campaign setup question. We have 60 SKUs. We're on a PMAX feed only campaign at 165 TROAS. We exclude brand to set up and brand negative keywords. We have the second PMAX FO campaign at 350 feed only. 350 TROAS for brand. Good strategy? ?
Well, my question would be, what's the overall goal? This is super efficient for sure. I've done this as well, where you get the fast, easy, cheap wins in one campaign that doesn't spend that much. So it's really high ROAS. But the problem is you won't be able to scale both of them. So for an efficiency standpoint, absolutely. For a scalability standpoint, no. So if the goal is hyper efficient, just sniping high profitability and keep it stable forever, perfect. But the earlier version of this show will tell you, obviously, if you want to scale, that's the other area you got to go into.
Seems like this would be more of you would want to switch this over to feeder strategy. Correct me if I'm wrong. Or no.
To scale. Yes.
To scale. Yeah.
That's when standard shopping has to come in because all of the ad spend you put in that goes to new.
Got it. Well, we've done plenty of, you can go back in the YouTube channel and find feeder strategy explanation for it. And Ken says, thank you. Isn't that nice?
Perfect timing.
That is perfect timing because I have to run, you have to run, and I've got internet now, which is amazing. It's incredible. How about that?
You could work today.
I could do stuff. Yeah. Thank you, Comcast. All right. Well, this has been tremendous. As always, John Moran, great to see you. And we can't wait to do next week's show. We're going to break down some more MPIs. It sounds like we're going to do some maths and stuff.
You're going to data nerd. Everyone bring your calculators and prepare to have your mind blown.
That's right. Your pocket protectors and your old Texas Instrument calculator.
All right, buddy. Have to buy stock in Texas Instruments. We're going to make a comeback.
It's gonna come
High school calculus is back in action, baby.
It is, baby, even though I flunked it. But anyway, we won't talk about that. So did I. Don't tell my kids. All right. Well, thanks, everybody, for all your questions today. We will see you same time, same channel next Friday on the Ad Lab. Talk to you then.
Bye, everybody.